Hello everybody, my name is James Shelton and welcome to the Steel Lab. I get a lot of questions about what do you do to make the pedal steel sound like an organ. So that's what the topic today is going to be. And well, obviously we have to have an effect to do this. So what's going on here is we're trying to emulate the Leslie Rotary speaker that Hammond B3 players use and that's sort of what really makes the organ sound like the organ. The Hammond itself is very dull sounding without the Leslie. So of course a real Leslie is a big speaker, and it works on the premise of something called the Doppler effect, where when sound is moving around, it changes. If you've ever heard a train go by and you hear the train horn, it goes, and then it falls off. That's the Doppler effect. And the Leslie creates this by having a drum in the bottom of the speaker that spins around. And then in the top side of the speaker, it has two horns that produce the upper range frequencies, and they face in opposite directions, and they spin around, and that's what creates that whirling, swirling sound of the Leslie. And it makes the organ sound like the organ pretty much. Well, on the pedal steel, in modern times, we don't have to have the whole big Leslie cabinet. We can use our effects to replicate this. And I'm going to tell you what I use, and I'm also going to tell you that there are a lot of other options, so you can accomplish this with a lot of different effects scenarios. But I personally use an effects processor, and I use the processor rather than like a lot of stomp box pedals, and I build patches in my processor, and that's the way I do all my effects, whether it's the Leslie effect or delay, reverb, what have you. So I'm currently these days using a Boss GT001 guitar effects processor. It's a little tabletop unit that happens to adapt very nicely to the pedal steel. And so I went into my unit here and I programmed myself a patch that has the Rotary speaker simulator set. You have two options, and in most cases this is the way this works. You can set it to run slow or you can set it to run fast. Now on the pedal steel, I never even bother with the slow setting. So I always have it set up to run fast, and I don't worry about speeding it up or slowing it down while I'm playing. Now, organ players do that all the time. The actual Leslie has a foot controller, and it has a feature on it called the brake, where when the Leslie is spinning at its highest speed, you can step on the brake and that will slow it down, and then when you let off the brake, it will speed back up. Well, that's pretty difficult to do on the pedal steel because our feet are so busy all the time anyway. So I just set it and forget it on the fast setting. And then as far as the building the patch itself, when you go into whatever kind of processor you're using to do this, it's going to offer you all sorts of parameter options, and you basically just have to play with those until you get it sounding the way you want it. You might need to turn the effect up, you might need to turn it down. It might have some options to where you can turn up the upper frequency ranges louder than the lower ones, and all that sort of thing. So that just takes some experimentation with whatever kind of processor you're using. What I really want to talk to you today about is how to think like an organ player.